Alright, in this video we will continue practicing the side splitter proportionality theorem and finding those unknown sides, and we will also look at this new theorem that says when you have an angled bisector, the two halves, these lengths are also proportional. So number 9, we can call this x right here, and let's see, we need to do the side splitter type theorem. So if this whole is 22 and we call this x, what would be an expression for this portion on the left? Yeah, that's going to be 22 minus x, all right? The whole minus the part that you've got. Over here we need this portion, but we can actually do 11 minus 5, so we know that's going to be 6. So, according to the proportionality theorem, these two should be proportional to these two. So let's set it up. Okay, so for example, x over 22 minus x should equal 6 over 5. And we cross multiply, so that'll be, let me create a little space, that'll be 5x equals. Now when I do 6 times 22 minus x, I need to do the distributive property, okay, here and here. So 22 times 6, that's 132. So I have 132 minus 6x. Now I see I have a variable on both sides. Whenever that happens, I need to get those together immediately. So I'll add 6x to both sides. That'll give me 11x equals 132. When I divide both sides by 11, okay, so divided by 11, I get 12. So x equals 12. Number 10, proportionality theorem. Let's go ahead and call that x. The theorem says that these two parts should be proportional to these two parts. So that means x over 28 should equal 8 over 16. I like to reduce these, so that's going to be 1/2. So when I cross multiply 2 times x, I have 2x. 28 times 1 is just 28. It's an 8. So when I divide by 2, I'm going to get x equals 14. Okay, let's see what's going on here. Okay, let me be clear about something. Of course, assuming that we're dealing with 3 parallel lines, here's what we've been doing as a side splitter type situation. If we have A and B, let me use different colors over here. Okay, so if we have X and Y, we understand that this pair will be proportional to that pair. So x over y should equal a over b. That's what we've been doing. But I need you to understand that there's a third thing that's happening as well. Let's talk about the whole, okay, and the whole part over there. So let's say over here we have p. Yeah, I guess I'll leave it white. So let's say over here we have P, and over here the total is Q. There's another proportion that we could make. For example, A over P, I'll just use a different color, should equal X over Q. Alright, so you can do part over whole equals part over whole. And I could have done it just as easily with b and y. So I could say b over p is equal to y over q. So that's what we're going to do in problem number 11. Since we have the whole and 35 over here is the whole, we might as well do this part over whole thing. But we need the part that corresponds with the 25. Well, actually, that would be difficult. So let's make let's find this part that corresponds with the 22. So if this is 35 and this is 25, then of course this must be 10. So now we can do the proportionality theorem. These two should be proportional to these two. Okay? The part and the whole should be proportional to the corresponding part and whole. So let's set up that proportion. So for example, looking at the greens, I could have 22 over 7 plus 14x, and that would equal 10 over 35, all right, the part and the whole. Okay? Let's reduce this. Both of these are divisible by 5, so that's going to be 2 over 7. So that's going to give me 22 over 7 plus 14x is equal to 2/7. Now as I cross multiply, remember when I multiply 2 times 7 plus 14x, I'm going to have to do the distributive property. So that's going to give me 2 times 7, I've got 14, plus 28x is equal to whatever 22 times 7 is. All right, that's 154. All right, then we would subtract 14 from both sides. And that's going to give you 28x is equal to 140. Then we divide both sides by 28. And that's going to give us x equals, so you have 140 divided by 28 is 5. All right, so that's number 11. For number 12, it would be easier to use the side splitting version. Since that's 10 and this is 4, of course this will be 6. So this pair of parts should be proportional to this pair of parts. So if we set up that equation, that would be 2x minus 10 over 9 should equal 4 over 6. I'm going to reduce this. So I have 2x minus 10 over 9 equals 2/3. So as I cross multiply, don't forget that when I do the 3 times the 2x minus 10, I have to do the distributive property. So that's going to give me 6x minus 30. And then, of course, 2 times 9 is 18. Then we would add 30 to both sides. So that's 48. So if we divide both sides by 6, we're going to get 8. So that's number 12. All right, number 13 is a new type of problem. So let's head over to the black screen. All right, so let's say you have a triangle and then a segment that is an angle bisector. So that means if this is an angle bisector, then this angle should be congruent to this angle. If that happens, then we have some proportionality. So this pair should be proportional to this pair. So basically this side, these two lengths on the left should be proportional to the right-hand side, these two lengths on the right. Okay, so specifically A over B should equal X over Y. So that's what we're dealing with in this picture. Let's call this X, since that's what we're trying to find. Now we're going to need both of these pieces. So 36 minus 15 is 21. So if we have an angle bisector, then these two parts, these two lengths should be proportional, and they should be proportional to these two lengths. So specifically, for example, X over 21 should equal 30 over 15. Alright, both of these are divisible by 5, so this is going to give me X over 21 is equal to 6. Whoa, actually 15 goes into 30 twice, so this is just going to be 2. Like 2 over 1, I guess, if you want to think of it that way. So when you cross multiply, it's just going to be X equals 42. Which makes sense because the 15 doubled, the 21 will double. Alright, for number 14, okay, so we're trying to find this right here. I think we'll just stick to the side splitter way of doing things, because if this is 14 and this is 8, we can easily find this number, so that'll just be 6. So these two lengths should be proportional to these two lengths. So for example, 6 over 8 should equal X over 12. These are both divisible by 2, so that'll be 3/4 equals X over 12. When you cross multiply, you get 4X is equal to 36. And then when you divide by 4, you get X equals 9. I don't see any variable. So I'm going to assume that we're just supposed to find this missing piece right here, but we don't need any new theorems to do that. That's just going to equal 15. Okay, just because 39 minus 24 is 15. So something wrong with that problem. That was they gave us too much information, no variable, something is missing there. Anyway, let's move on. Number 16 is slightly more interesting. We're supposed to find this entire side, so we can go ahead and call that X. But we need an expression for the portion here. So if the whole thing is X and this is 7, then what can we call this portion right here? We can call it X minus 7. So according to our angle bisector proportionality theorem, these two lengths should be proportional to these two lengths. Okay. So for example, X minus 7 over 20 should equal 7 over 28. These are both divisible by 7, so that's going to be 1/4. So when I cross multiply, don't forget that you have to distribute the 4. So that'll make 4x minus 28 is equal to 20. So then you add 28 to both sides, and you get 4x is equal to 48. Then when you divide both sides by 4, you get x equals 12. Alright, we're going to need this portion right here. First of all, if this is 10 and this is 24, then this must be 14. Now, according to our angle bisector proportionality, these two should be proportional to these two. So specifically, for example, 14 over 21 should equal 10 over 2x minus 5. Boom, boom, and boom, boom. These are both divisible by 7, so this will be 2/3 is equal to 10 over 2x minus 5. So when you cross multiply, be sure to do the distributive property right here. So that'll give us 4x minus 10 is equal to 30. So then we add 10 to both sides, and we get 4x is equal to 40. So when we divide both sides by 4, that's going to be x equals 10.
Miss Ray, can I get the math homework yesterday? Sorry, said I didn't get it.
Alright, last one. Again, looking at the split sides, these two should be proportional to these two. So that means 6 over 5 should equal 12 over x minus 1. When you cross multiply, be sure to do the distributive property. So that'll give us 6x minus 6 is equal to 60. Alright, then we would add 6 to both sides. So that gives us 6x is equal to 66. So when we divide by 6, we get 11. Alright, that's going to do it for this video. I hope it was helpful. I'll see you on the next video.